We are live.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. This is your host, Cold Frenchies directly from the house. Today we have to go all the way. No, we have to stop in Austin, Texas. Pretty sure he's between the snow, no power. Mr. Michael DeVillano.
There's so much snow here, Pierre. It feels like I'm in Minnesota.
I bet it's amazing. You know, Dallas Star canceled the game
Really?
last night, and they cancel also tonight. The game it was announced by the NHL maybe 30 minutes ago. For the second time, they canceled the game. So it's really bad in Dallas. To be honest with you, over like 4 million people lost the power. So hopefully everything will be great. But today we have a special guest today, and then we talk about Mr. Greg Minervini from the Florida Panthers going to join us and talk about hockey and talking a little bit more about himself. And I can't wait to hear more about you, Greg. Welcome in the Hockey Nation Live Show.
Great to be on your show, guys. I love talking hockey.
I know that, and you know we have a chance to work together, everything like that. We have a relationship as a friendship for many years together. But before we start, I just want a little bit tell us about, you know, you born from North, everything. How did you fall in love with not only hockey but also about sport, and how you become a broadcaster in hockey and in any other sport?
Thank you, Frenchie. My background is I grew up on Long Island in New York. My dad was a big hockey fan. I used to referee his games when he was in his 50s. I would referee where the Islanders played or practiced out on Long Island, a place called Racket Ring. But this goes back. My dad passed away a few years ago. He was 91. He was a huge hockey fan. He was a fan of the New York Americans, believe it or not. Now let me date you back. My dad was born in 1921. Somewhere around the mid-20s. He's 5 or 6. We had an uncle who was like an accountant for this hockey team called the New York Americans. So my dad got into hockey. I mean, his father was from Italy. I'm sure he didn't know anything about hockey. He got into hockey at an incredibly young age and was absolutely upset when the Rangers came in. A man named Tex Rickard, who owned the Garden, said, "Hey, we got to do this." And Rickard Rangers, that's how it became Rangers, knocked the Americans basically out of business. So my dad was became a Bruins fan for 1 year, but then he became a Ranger fan. I got to interview him once on a Panther game in between periods. It was a thrill of my life. He played roller hockey in the streets of New York. We've got old film. And my brother played in the low minor leagues. All my brothers played. It's been a family sport. And, I even brought out my old jersey here. So you got your jerseys there, Frenchie. This is an old Brad Park jersey from Jerry Cosby, a very famous place to get a jersey. Really the only place you could in New York anyway back in the day. And so that was my love affair with hockey. My dad liked all sports, which as a young kid, I used to impersonate people like Marv Albert, who did the Ranger games on radio. And he would do things like, it'll be Billy Smith to our left at the 7th Avenue end, and Ed Junkerman to our right at the 8th Avenue end. So I always wanted to be a sportscaster from then, but it was my dad's passion for sports, and in particular, the niche sport of hockey, which if you're not introduced to by somebody along the way, you may miss it, which is unfortunate.
That's awesome. I know before we jump on the hockey side, tell us a little bit more about, because you work on TV and you work with other sport like how did you start with the Marlins also? Because we're watching you, summertime with the Marlins, wintertime with the Panthers. So tell a little bit more about that part you have also with baseball.
Well, sure. I went to Syracuse University. Marv went there. Bob Costas. A lot of people went there that became pretty well-known sportscasters. It's kind of a mecca for that kind of business. We got to cover the games there. I got AAA baseball and the basketball and football. They didn't have hockey, unfortunately. And they didn't have a minor league team when I was there either, which was unfortunate. But I got to start. I sent my tapes out. I got a job in West Virginia at a TV station. And then I got a call from somebody I met. And this is I think it's a great story for anybody. Is you never know who's looking, and even when you think you're not doing much, you're impressing or not impressing somebody. And I was an intern at Madison Square Garden Network. I worked the whole summer. I didn't get paid. I took the train in from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. They would pay my train fare. That was it. and I would do all kinds of odd jobs. And I got to know Sam Rosen very well as he just took over the Rangers, and all the Garden people, the executives. Anyway, how this come into play? Not only lifelong relationships with people like Sam Rosen and Bruce Beck, who's a New York sportscaster, but a guy named Phil Harmon. So I'm in West Virginia, in the middle of nowhere. I'm the sports director doing the 6 and 11 sports. And I get a call less than a year into my first job. I'm 23, saying, "Hey, this is Phil Harmon. Hey, Phil, would you be interested in joining the World Wrestling Federation?" And I'm like, "Whoa!" I said, I followed a little bit as a kid, but he said, "Well, it's national TV. I want you to come meet Vince." Okay. So I fly up, I meet Vince McMahon. Boom, I'm hired. One night I'm on in Oak Hill, West Virginia. The next night I'm on 256 stations around the country on the World Wrestling Federation. I had to change my name, actually, for the job. And I'm still recognized today as Craig DeGeorge. Google me, by a lot of wrestling fans. And I have some pictures behind me here, me and Hogan. And actually, this one right, where's my finger? Right there is Hogan and I. Can I do this? We're having fun.
Yeah, you got control. We don't have to have a cameraman in this situation.
Let me see if we can, we're going to send people jumping, but I don't know if I can get a shot of that. But that's
you can see it, yeah.
That's me and Hogan doing a little bit.
Oh, cool. There you go.
And George the Animal Steel is one of my favorites.
Oh, my God.
And it's really hard to do this, guys. But anyway, I don't want to send your audience like, But
no, but we follow you a lot on Twitter, and you always bring the WWE and the wrestling, everything like that, so we can see. I can understand more now. You love for the wrestler, everything. So it's great to share with us what you did in the past, everything like that. I like the fact you mentioned. You never know when someone is watching you. Whatsoever you're thinking, nobody's watching you. You always someone somewhere can see you. So always perform at your max. Your best every time, and not to give, to go lazy because you're thinking nobody's watching you.
You make an impression on people. I tell my kids all the time. Sometimes I get emotional about it too, because you want to do the right thing, and you never know who watches. They could have hired They could have hired 500 people for that. Everybody would jump for that job. I'm in West Virginia. Nobody's going to find me in West Virginia. You wouldn't even know about the job. So it was neat. For me, it was fun. And I still do some wrestling things. I even have my old wrestling jacket still. It doesn't fit it.
That's amazing.
But anyway, after that, I wound up coming down to Florida. I worked local TV in West Palm, and I worked in Miami. And then I moved over. There was a position open at Fox. The neat thing about another thing is, when you're on the air somewhere, people know you. And I didn't have to send a tape for that job. I just called up and, you interested? And moved over to the Marlins and picked up the Panthers. Thereafter, they told me I'd probably do both. Again, I played baseball in high school. I played hockey since I was 5 years old. I refereed when I was a young kid and picked it up later in life. So these were two sports that were natural for me. And I always like being at the game. I really prefer being at the game rather than being in the studio. So I got to go to all the games. And somebody paid the tab. So that's a pretty good gig.
That's amazing. A lot of people like passion. We are like me. I would be like, dream a job to do what you're doing, because honestly, you met so many players and so many people, and talking about something you love to watch and you play. It's amazing. So for congrats. So how many years do you work now for the Panthers?
Well, I've been there pretty much. I joined Fox in 2002 with the Marlins, and the Panthers, I've been there since, I think I started in 2003.
Wow. Okay.
For 3 years, I didn't do it. So and I picked it back up like 5-6 years ago, which was really nice for me because I missed it. I also did pro roller hockey for ESPN. I did 4 years of that. And it sounds, maybe now people don't remember it, but those were in NHL buildings.
Yeah, that was a pretty big period, right?
It was a big period, and I got to do play-by-play with Jim Fox, who does the Kings games, and a lot of NHL guys played. They did. Played there. In fact, this is a great trivia question. Can you name the last cup won in the Montreal Forum? It's so true.
Honestly,
Is it the RHI? Is it like
it was the I don't know is it the Roadrunner?
It's called the Murphy Cup. Named after Dennis Murphy.
Wow.
And let me tell you, Yvon Conway ran that team.
Did he?
About 14,000 fans at the Montreal Forum. They played the San Jose Rhinos. Roy Sommer, who was a longtime coach in the San Jose Sharks organization, was the head coach. And we've talked a little bit, Frenchie, about this with Guy Roulet.
I was just going to say Guy Rouleau was like, it's an interesting connection, right? Because
I think it went
people know Luc Robitaille.
Yeah.
And the other guy that people know is his best friend, Pat Brisson. And,
yeah.
So Luc went to the LA King. But that whole Olympic team had Guy Rouleau as the leading scorer. Luc was the second leading scorer. Right. And then Pat was like fourth or fifth down.
Good stuff, Michael.
And if you look at the history of that group, Luc goes to the Kings, can't skate, but can really score, becomes the all-time leading scorer in the NHL. Pat Brisson sleeps on his couch, becomes the number one agent in hockey. And the question was always, where's Guy Rouleau? And he was playing roller hockey.
But he won the last cup.
He was great.
No, actually he didn't. They lost the cup.
Oh, did they? Oh, no.
But anyway, that was fun stuff.
That's so funny you brought that name up, because I was going to say, was he in that game?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. If you follow the rollerblade in Montreal, you remember Guy Rouleau, honestly, about that. You know what I mean? Someone like, it's funny because that remind me, maybe Greg, remember the three Dennis play hockey, and for Montreal, the Verdun team in junior, they would dominate the junior major Quebec with Denis Savard, Denis Tremblay, and Denis Cyr. Denis Savard become one of the best hockey players in the NHL. Denis Cyr worked in many years in business hockey like ECHL, EHL. He played barely in NHL. And then Denis Tremblay, he work at a post mill in Montreal. So sometimes you never know, right?
Yeah.
Could happen, everything like that. But they just turned 60 a couple of weeks ago, and they have an article about the three Dennis. But Greg, a little bit more about now you with the Panthers. I know we have a couple of people for the Panthers right now with us today. I have a question for you, but we have other people around USA and Canada. Can you tell us, what is your primary job when you work with the Panthers? What time do you show up? How do you prepare? What do you do during the game?
I'm the host of the Panthers live pregame and postgame. And nice thing about hockey is, unlike baseball, you come on in the middle of the game too, obviously, in between periods. I usually host it with either Ed Jovanovski, Jeff Chikrin, longtime NHL players, or Randy Moeller when the team's on the road. Randy's the color man, and I'm the host of the show. I'm a bit of like the Ron McLean, or if you will, of the Panther broadcast. There's one of us pretty much in all the markets, whether you're in the U.S. or in Canada. It's a little different because sometimes you cover a bunch of teams. Gene Principe does a great job on the Oilers, I know. And but that's basically my gig with the Panthers. Now, normal game, it's different this year, guys, because everybody's working from home. So instead of going on game day to the rink for a morning skate, you can go on this very iPad, do all your interviews, which is it makes it a little more convenient.
Interesting.
Do my notes here, and and I get the game notes, and I wish I could show you. I don't have it in front of me, but I make some notes out, and I always like the team logos and all that. And then I get to the game. Usually, like yesterday, we had to do an interview with Hornquist at 4:30. So even though I wasn't on until 7, we taped the interview. So I got there around 4. Little makeup, little doll up, put the tie on, and then I'm done after the post-game show. Yeah, just like you, gentlemen. I know you have your makeup people.
I'm sitting in my bedroom.
My hair.
I showered today.
Yeah, so that's pretty much a normal day for baseball. You're getting there and you're there all day. Sometimes, when we used to go down to the field, you'd be down there. Believe it or not, people go, "Oh, can you do something? It's at 3. No, I got a game." Well, the game's not until 7. Hold on. We're on at 6:30, and I got to be there at 3. We can do all these interviews, and I do prep, so I don't have time on game day. I'd love to, but I have a game.
And I know we talk about hockey, but do you have a preference between the sport, between hockey and baseball? Or how do you feel about between both sport for you as a broadcaster, pre-game show, everything like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I usually answer it this way too. Whatever team is winning, it seems to be more fun. I love both sports. They're two different sports, completely different. Baseball, I think, can pick the pace up. I never thought that until recent years. They are changing some rules. Yeah. Right, but they can pick the pace up.
I feel like the announcers are so important in broadcast on baseball, because it's like watching paint dry, and unless you're at the game, it's very different on TV.
Well, I wouldn't go as far as you, Mike. I understand where you come from.
It's very slow.
I find it intriguing, but when you're into a team, I grew up in New York. I was a Mets fan, so when you're into a team, there's something about the day-to-day nature. There's no practice. I mean, you game, and you're into that team, and that '86 Mets team. Not to mention their broadcaster, Bob Murphy, like Marv Albert did for me in hockey. Oh, Bob Murphy, it was the world to me. And I got to interview him once during a pregame show. He was the Mets Hall of Fame radio voice. And he used to do a bit. Imagine this is the Mets yearbook here. And he'd open up the yearbook and he'd sell the yearbook on camera. And I used to do this bit. Well, hey, everybody, I'm Bob Murphy. This is the Mets yearbook brought to you by Schaefer and Schaefer Lane. And here's some great pictures. You can order it for $1.25.
That's awesome.
The Mets yearbook, Post Office Box 10. Use the zip code 11368. You know,
Wow.
It was huge to me. So
That's
I
awesome.
love both sports. If you're winning, it's a little more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. You are, when you follow hockey or sport, you're always talking about the guy talking about the games during the game, but the people like you are so important. You take a team to make this possible, because without the pregame show, it does not work, right? During the game, you have like the man-to-man, everything like that. But I think you bring a lot of things before the game and after the game. And is it more difficult after the game because the outcome of the game could be, not the way that maybe they are thinking to be or something like that? Or you think like pregame is more difficult?
It's a good question. The pregame is more structured. We have a format. We're doing this. You got to be a little tighter. It's especially tricky on the color man, because we're going to the next story. We don't have a script. There's no prompter like you would in the news. So one thing, if you're doing what we do, is like you guys are doing this, you have to ad lib. And you have to like ad-libbing, which means you have to know your subject, because you never quite know where you're going. I find actually the post-game is, although it's not as structured, is easier because we don't have any limits. The only problem occasionally is I might be in the middle of a question to somebody, and I get a rap, and I didn't ask, like last night I got a rap after 2 questions, but I didn't ask Vetrano about the penalty shot. So I'm processing, okay, my producer wants me to rap. However, the audience is going to say, well, why didn't you ask me about the penalty shot? But I didn't know we had only time for 2. So I snuck it in there, and hopefully my producer wasn't too mad at me, because I had to ask him. I wanted to end with the penalty shot. So you get that kind of stuff going on in your head sometimes. Or let's say I'm talking to you, Frenchie, and you're analyzing the game, and then I get in my ear, we're going to this next. Now, I might be so tuned into you at this point, I didn't hear, it's like somebody coming out of the blue when you're in a conversation. I didn't hear you. What are you, deaf? No, I'm not. I'm listening to what you're saying. We're having a conversation. And then somebody's coming to my right ear saying what we're doing next. So I always tell them to please repeat that one more time. Craig, we're going, just get my attention. I'm not going to, you can't say on the air, and this young broadcaster will go, okay, but I like the post game better, because it's look, if they lose and they're losing 1 million games in a row, I mean, it's not as much fun. But you got to be professional.
Well, we've seen this year, Panthers are, I don't know what your feeling is, but for us, they've definitely so far exceeded expectations. What's your view on the changes that they've made and the new management?
I think unquestionably. I mean, this series against Tampa, we can get into, they just won 2 out of 3, including last night. And by the way, when they won, they took all 4 points, which to me is the biggest thing in the league this year. If you take the 2 and they get none, that's a 4-point swing. If you get 2 and they get a point, it's only a 1-point difference. It's huge difference. So that was big. You gain ground, but they're going to have to. They got some tough games. Carolina's looks a good.
Carolina's like a steamroller. They're
right? I mean,
so much depth, and when you can win with James Reimer in net every night, you're doing pretty good.
That's interesting because he didn't play well here.
He's like a roller coaster, right? Like
one of the nicest guys you ever met. I tell you what.
Great guy,
about last night's game. Look at the difference. The Panthers can win with their number 2 goalie, who's maybe their number.
He's very good.
Or 1B. Chris Drieger is every bit as good right now, if not better, than Bobrovsky so far. I'm not saying maybe that won't play out, because Bobrovsky is the guy you want Bobrovsky to go. But look at McElhinney last night. I mean, if Vasilevsky's in there, it's a different hockey game.
For sure. And I mean, career-wise, McElhinney's obviously been a good backup.
Yes.
But I don't think you can throw your backup at the Panthers anymore. I mean, I think that what we're realizing, the move for Hornqvist, I mean, never a fan, but every time someone trades for him, you realize when he's on your team, you want him, right?
You like him. Yeah.
You love what he does.
You like him.
He's like their Thomas Holmstrom, right?
He was the last pick in the 2005 draft.
Isn't that crazy?
The last pick. He's one of 2 guys and I should know this. I don't know who the other guy
Jonathan
is.
Erickson.
Who?
Jonathan Erickson.
Jonathan, not the former
for Detroit.
Ranger, Jan Erickson.
Detroit.
Okay, 700 games in the NHL plus.
Yeah, the defenseman Jonathan Erickson saying he was the last pick in the draft.
He was, and he played seven. Did he play 700 games?
Yeah, I think he's over that. Yeah,
minimum. Yeah. So anyway, great player to have. A guy the Panthers haven't had. I mean, it was the last time the Panthers had a presence in front of the net. You know, Mellenby?
Maybe. That's pretty scary.
You know, at the beginning of the year, I said that they will go have a difficult year. I'll be honest with you, they surprised me completely. And I know we have a couple of fans from the Panthers here, but I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But again, to make the only way, Greg, and I repeat exactly every day here, is the only way Panthers can make the playoff. They have to beat 2 games on the 8 versus Tampa Bay, 2 games against Carolina, at least 2 games of the 8, and finally play for 550 for the rest of the Columbus, Nashville, Chicago, and Detroit. If they do this, they're going to make the playoff. And I'm impressed by the fact, like, they lost Adonov, and you see what Adonov did yesterday is a 25-scorer game. You have Hoffman score 25 game and maybe more per season. That's a 50 goal. You're losing, and you pick up player like Duclair and
last night.
Verhaeghe.
I was going to ask, like, Carter Verhaeghe. I think we saw him in the playoffs last year with Tampa, and it was like, this is a good player, and he's a big guy. But I don't know. Did anybody expect him to get 7 goals his first 15 games?
Yeah. Well, he scored only 9, but he didn't have as Frenchie knows, being a head coach, ice time.
No, for sure. He didn't have the ice time.
You saw the talent on the first line. You saw the talent. And he's not scoring power play goals. I think all his goals are even strength. That's a big factor. He's not on that first unit with the power play. He gets a little time the second unit, and I don't think he has a power play goal. I'd have to check that, but I don't think so. So I think the Panthers are pleasantly surprised a little bit, but not a lot of it. I think they knew what they were getting with this guy. Maybe like Marchessault a few years ago when they got him from Tampa, kind of surprised. And they got him another year, too. But Verhaeghe's going to make some money down the line and not too far away.
They got him on $1 million for $2 million and $1 million.
Yeah.
It's a good comparison, I think. Jonathan Marchessault, I think.
Excellent, different type of player.
Excellent comparison about to compare that one over there. But again, you bring Wenberg over there, that helping a little bit. He knows his role. And I think this year Panthers are more like a unit team, and they make less mistake on defensive side where they was struggle. A lot of gave away pucks. We still a couple of times, but I think they play more like a unit on the both side of the game when you're watching them this year compare last year where it was not very great in front of the net. You can blame goaltender over there sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you 5 players in front of you don't protect the defensive zone, you're going to give goal, and you cannot give 2-3 rebound without put the puck out of the zone. So I think at the end of the day, Panthers looking better as a team together, and we have to give them credit because I was never expect them to start like this. I'll be honest with you, to win 1 game again in Tampa Bay, I believe 90% people will be happy to get 2 of them. Yeah. I know, yesterday the generosity of the
we had Stamkos back too.
I'm sorry?
And they had Stamkos back and they beat him.
Yeah. So
the first game we were like, hey, they're kind of shorthanded, but no excuse last night. I mean,
but I think at the end of the day, they are legit. I'll be honest with you. They're going to Carolina. I think they are in Detroit after that. They are away. But then, like I said, those games again, the lower, like the Detroit, Chicago, Nashville, Columbus, they have to play for 550 more if they want to make the playoff. And now I really believe they are legit after the 3 game against Tampa Bay. And the rivalry is increasing. You see Smith yesterday, fight. You see also that the head on the Barkov at the end of the game. So you can see now the rivalry is going to be more and more between both games. It would be very interesting to follow both teams now. And I think Tampa Bay at the end of the day, they thinking now they have to take them seriously, because they respond well to the last 3 games against them.
A great point. And don't forget, the way this year is, unlike past years where you can sometimes avoid the team in your division, you can't do that this year. You can see this going head-to-head here with the way the playoffs are, 1-4-2-3. They could very well look. I don't want to get ahead of myself because they're not.
Yeah, it's going to be
spot yet, but it's not inconceivable to think about a Tampa Bay, Florida playoff series, and man, that'd be fun.
And remember also, because it's a short season, right? 56 game, and
Right.
every time you increase your record by +1 over 500, it's harder for other team to catch you up, because now the rest of the bottom right now to play again, to put Florida out, have to play for over 600 right now, 6 win on the 10 if they want to catch up Florida Panthers right now. So so it's another great for the Panthers to win 2 of the 3 against Tampa, because this make more difficult for the rest of the other team in that division. So, and this year is I do a power ranking is very hard because Panthers
there's so many teams out.
They don't play against Boston. So it's hard to say where they are in the league, but at the end of the day, we have to give them anyway credit to them to what they are with this record of 9-2. That's amazing me. That surprised me, to be honest with you. And I think they are now legit and they can make the playoff, to be honest with you. And when they're going to be away, that's why they make a difference there. And it still have 45, 43,
40 games,
right? So
tomorrow's the quarter pole. Tomorrow will be the 14th game. So it's exactly 25% of the season. And the other thing along your lines, Frenchie, is that you can't get your points outside the division anymore. You can't go beat up other teams. So whoever wins, and that's why I'm talking about if you win the game of regulation, you've got to beat somebody and they're going to lose points. So it really is a big advantage to be on the top 4 right now going forward.
Exactly. Every game is 4 points, right? So every game is important. Whatever you play tomorrow, next day, everything like that. Now, the strength of this is to stay healthy. That's the most important thing of the 56 game this year, because you can see COVID-19 hurt a lot of teams. 5 teams did not play last week. Now we see Colorado come back. We see Buffalo yesterday. And you can see Buffalo last night. They were flat after 2 periods. And the New York Islanders play over 3,746 games in the history. It was the first time they don't give any shot on the net last night against Buffalo at the 3rd period.
Wow.
Did not have the goose egg?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you certainly don't expect that either with all the firepower.
I went to a lot of games at the Nassau County Veterans Coliseum. Right for the first year, because even though I was a Ranger fan, that was easy to get to compared to the Garden. I never went to the Garden until I was a high school kid. But so I went to a lot of. I still have the autographs downstairs. Jerry Hart,
that's awesome.
Brian Spinner Spencer.
Spinner Spencer. There was a TV show about Spencer in Canada. Did you ever see that? The documentary that was awesome, or movie?
Ron Stewart, who was a Ranger.
That's right.
Briefly, who passed away. But anyway,
did you ever get to interview my cousin? By the way, I meant to ask because he was very integral in the Islanders. He was there for 3 of the 4 cups. Jimmy Devellano, and he's a Florida resident. He's closer to Tampa Bay. I think he's in St. Petersburg or something, or Sarasota, maybe Sarasota. Right. But I don't know if you've ever connected with him.
Great times on the island there.
Yeah, maybe we can connect you with him at some point, or we can have him on this.
That'd be awesome.
He's so knowledgeable. A couple of players I wanted to ask you about. One is our former Everett Silvertips captain, Noah Juleson, was a pickup by the Panthers. I'm curious your impression of him and what the reaction to him so far. I know it's only 3 games, but what do you guys think of him so far?
I like him. He was a captain of that team, right? In the Western Hockey League.
Yeah, he was a great.
A lot. In fact, I was surprised he played last night. He only played 3 games because to me, he might be the better one of the bunch so far. Nudavar, that 6th guy that I've seen, he's got a little offensive touch. He hits. I like his physical game. The Panthers need that.
Yeah.
Now, I think Quenneville has said this. He's given everybody a look. He's given them time. And at some point, he's probably going to zero in on your a definitive top 6, unless he thinks it's a toss-up. But I like what I've seen so far from Noah Juleson. I didn't know anything about him until he got here.
Well, he played with Team Canada, so he was a veteran at Team Canada. He was great for us, great kid. Had the eye injury with Montreal that I think is the only reason he's not there. But we're pulling for him. We hope that he has a long career in Florida.
What he does very well is he carry on the puck really great, and also he's good on the offensive side. He needs to improve his defensive side. If he turn that a little bit more physical,
I think
he can carry on the puck. I think he's going to be one of the top 2 of the the Panthers to do that. Yandel can do that, but at some point, but I think Noah can do that kind of the offensive side. If you tell that, he was impressed during his first game, where he was like, "Oh my God, this guy is pretty good." So I would not be surprised, like you said, in middle of the year he can pick it up. Now his full-time spot inside the team, because I think he can be great also on power play on the point at some moment.
And he's always been more of like, I mean, he does have some offense, you're right, Pierre, but I think defensively will be his strongest suit. And to Craig's point, he's not afraid to hit, but he contains first, which is unusual. He's a really smart player when he's healthy.
That's good.
I think anybody would love him once he's healthy. The other guy that we saw a little bit of, but that looks like he went back down to the AHO, is Heponiemi. So I'm curious about your impression of him.
He's been very impressive so far for the Panthers as well. Guys, can I come back and do more?
Anytime. I think you got to jump, right?
I have to do a radio show, but I do.
Sorry.
I'd love to come back and chat.
Thank you so much, Craig, for joining us.
This is great stuff. Anytime.
Thank you so much, Greg. Appreciate a lot. I apologize. We have a lot of questions for the fans here, but we'll go to
same time next week.
Okay.
We're going to invite you next week if you don't mind. Like just pick you a day. We're going to bring you back for sure. Okay. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Craig.
Good stuff.
All right. Awesome.
That was
great stuff over there. We apologize to
we
all the fans asked a lot of questions. We feel bad for you guys, but Greg is on the deadline with the NHL, and I apologize. It's my fault. He told me at 11:30 he has the NHL.
We got excited.
Public relation meeting, whatever they call it. I don't know exactly how press conference, whatever they call it. So the Panthers do this in 11:30. So it's my fault, to be honest with you. But a great good inside of that is great to have a guy like him, not only in part of the NHL, but also what he does. You know what I mean? Like he has so much experience. He's been in sport for 40 years, and he touched wrestling, and it was great to see him on the baseball side, hockey side, and he has a lot of hand. I think it would be great to have him again, Michael, to talking more about this, and I think it's great for everybody here.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. So I don't know. I know we have a couple of questions. We can maybe helping you guys. We appreciate everybody, and we apologize the fact Greg had to go, but if we can answer to you, we would love to do that. Michael, I don't know if you have a couple of questions there.
Let's take a look. I mean, I think, it was more stuff that would directly come from Craig, but he did talk about his influences as a broadcaster, and in both baseball and hockey. I'd have to go back and look at the names. He said there was just a comment about Dusty Rhodes, and I didn't realize his connection to professional wrestling. So that's awesome.
Yeah, you talk about the animals. Is it the animals and the Hogan? You talk that reminds me of the story.
George the Animal Steel. And then Carrie had a question around why they've been so successful. I think he kind of talked about the changes. I think you hit on points around that they're more defensively responsible. The thing I didn't get to bring up was, I think in the end, the changes that were made, I suspect, were very much influenced by the coach. And you've got a top 3 or 4 coach in the NHL. Joel Quenneville's been around the block and won championships. And I don't think that he's going to sit back and have those players changed out like Hoffman and Dadonov without having some input that, hey, look, we can do better. Like, we want someone different with a different makeup, and I'll keep winning. And that's what they're doing.
And then something I forgot, but I think, you need a balance, right? You have the scorer, Roberto, Barkov, Orfquist, we can score. Ziegler can score yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think you need blue collars.
Tippett scored too, right? So
blue collars players. You need players like the dirty work, right? And I think you need that on any team, right? And I think that's what this year Panthers have a little bit more the blue collar players. They are willing to pay the price. They are willing to battle the 50-50. They are winning more the puck. They are better on defensive side. And that's for me, the difference compared in the past where they are more the players on periphery like Hoffman and, Dadonov doing well right now in Ottawa, but I don't think so. He's the guy, the players like, Battle, Leviton, that compared. So this year they have a little bit more that kind of players. And I think that fit also with Joel Quenneville. Remember, every time they have a great year, Quenneville, have those kind of 3-4 players, right? But look behind those kind of players, third line and fourth line, those working hard and those sacrifice. And I think that's fit better this year for Florida Panthers. That's maybe the reason why they are 9-2 now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that overall, I mean, sometimes you don't see the flash of having 30 goal guys like Hoffman and Dadonov.
But again, sometimes
now you've got guys that are contributing because they're doing the right thing, like Hornqvist, Tippett, like they've got depth. And when the big questions were Wenberg. This is about a GM who came from an organization, knew what he had in Wenberg, them seeing Tampa Bay enough to know what Carter Verhaeghe was, and you look down the line, and there's been choices like that have been made. Hornqvist, like a coach like Quenneville is going to see Hornqvist a lot and go, "That's the guy I want. I already got Barkov. I got Huberdeau. Let's put this guy in front of the net."
So right, look, Steve Sherlock works now with the Florida Panthers.
Shane Sherlock, exactly.
7 years with Montreal Canadiens. What happening with Noah Juleson was on the waiver list? Sherlock pick up him.
Yep. And then Noah Juleson, Shane Sherlock knows obviously, right? So it's I think that's what you were saying, right? Was Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut out for a sec. Frenchie, Anthony wants to know, who are your influences as a hockey coach when it comes to your coaching style and your playing style on the ice for the team?
You have many, and I think you have two kind of coach. You have the one knows on the system hockey on the ice, and also the one on the mindset coaching. And that's what for me, a part of this friend seminar, everything like that. I met a lot of coaches. I pick up everything. But I think on the old school, I can remember like Jacques Lemaire, Pat Burns. I work with Michel Derrien. I work with Bruce Boudreau. And everybody had their own typical strength about how they talk with the player, the communication with the player, how they treat the players. And this is all a part of the package deal when you become a coach. It's not only to know the X and O. So I have a lot of things I can, I have an experience to my best friend is Steve Breer. He's a goalie coach for the Toronto Maple Leaf. And he introduced me to Mike Pacock, and we know what happening with Mike. But at the end of the day, nothing more a guy like Mike Pacock has hours after hours about one thing: preparation and details. Preparation and details. If you go anytime he was working with Detroit Red Wings, Anaheim, and Toronto, who was the first coach showing up before 6 a.m. in the morning?
His work ethic is excellent.
It was Mike Pacock. Who was the last one leaving? It was Mike Pacock. And that's sometimes like this, we don't know. We don't see this behind the bench. He's not the only one, but I just give you some stuff where people don't realize how many hours they're watching video. What they do. It's a job. Alain Vigneault, how many times he would say to me, I pass most of my day to do one thing, watching video, watching the guys, every time like that. So, and then you have some other coaches are great as an assistant coach, and they can never going to be a head coach. One guy you don't like too much, Michael, it's Dallas Egg. What's that? The guy from Anaheim coach.
I mean, he's just a weird communicator for me.
But again, he is one of the most biggest great coach about mindset. He learned about a mindset. If you look about this part, he have the. I know says it's not shame, but my point to you, they have their strength. But maybe Mike is maybe not a great think about Kirk Muller, right? Kirk Muller tried to be a head coach, but I don't feel he's at the right spot to be a head coach. He fit better want to be an assistant coach. He's maybe a better teacher.
Maybe.
Compared as a coach. Does it make sense?
I think the coach, there's guys that are obviously suited to each role typically. Although then you see in Philadelphia, we got 3 head coaches on the bench. There's definitely an ego thing between coaches. The one thing that I will point out is the tandem of Pete DeBoer and my friend Steve Spott. And they've moved around to multiple teams since they've been in Kitchener. I think Steve was in Florida too, right? And then he's in Vegas now. And before that, he was in San Jose. And that's just, they know each other and trust each other. They each have a role. I think the head.
You talk about Steve, right? So I have a chance to meet him. He specialized, example, on face-off.
Right.
right? He specialized on one side of the game, right?
Yeah.
You have another coach, whether him for many years. Oh my God, he was more on the defensive side, everything like that. So everything like that. Talk about Gerard Guerin. How many years he works with Mike Kelly together?
True. That's
Panthers,
true.
and then he moved to Vegas over there. So you have a couple of them over there. Vigneault and Theriot never works together, but I've been honest with you, they always compete each other, right? When it was a Montreal, one with Vancouver, it was a Rangers, with Pittsburgh, everything like that. But you know what they are doing from May to August? They were together, exchange to learning to get better.
And I think that's one thing that's true.
At the end of the day, it's one thing. It's a coach want to become the best of the best, need to learn and to adapt and to be flexible to what's going on. Hockey today in 2020, it's not the same like 20 years ago or 30 years ago. The system, the swarm in defensive side, the 2-1-2 don't exist less in hockey versus the 5 in the corner now. But so the coach, like a youth travel coach, right? You don't adapt, you don't learn, you don't master your craft. But that's where it's difficult to teaching the kids now, because the game is not on the speed wise, it's on transition wise. It's a 5 together. It's not only 3 forward 2D anymore. It could be a 1-4. You can join the rush. Yeah, a lot of things going on. But if you don't master your craft, you don't want to learn about this. Yeah. But that's where you're behind. And I think at the end of the day, Michael, is one thing. Whatever you are, a scout, whatever you are, a broadcaster like Greg, whatever is a coach like me, one thing we have all three in common. We have the passion about the game. We love the game. We just love to talk about the game, and that's what we do. That's what we love to do, and that's what the most important thing. And those coaches, that's what they have. They have a passion about the game, and they love to coaching. They love to helping other players to become better, and also to have that kind of the friendship and communication. Yep. You have a good communication. Become a great communicator with your players. So you know that Mike Bergevin have a great press conference yesterday, and they was talking about one thing is really important is to care about your players, and that's something bring to him. So you know what? One thing we like from you now, you care about your players. You know your limits, you know your boundaries. Yeah. But at the point we want the best for your players, and that's something the players remember. Like, yeah, I got traded, but he took care about me because he traded me at some place I want to be. So some stuff like this is not in the public. It's behind the scenes, right? And the fact, like Greg, he's a part of this. It's amazing me. That's what I'm lucky what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, I wish I could be a part of that. When I was in the East Coast, I'm sure myself, because when I was in the East Coast, I have an opportunity. I should do it. I did not do it for any other reason. But again, that's what, we can have a regrets in life. We just learn from those failure, mistake, and go from there, right?
So we had a comment from Anthony about coaching. I think the one thing that people don't understand when you're in the coaching fraternity, one, Hockey Canada does a phenomenal job of putting out different levels of coaching material, and it's very, very deep. You can go all the way from recreational coaching to high performance coaching. And to Frenchie's point, there's a great fraternity of coaches who give back, and there's guys you'd never know their name, and they do a great job of mentoring other coaches. For me in Toronto, for example, I had Greg Gilbert, who was a coach in the OHL, was always a gruff guy, but I would go to all his practices. He was always very open about giving me materials and teaching me stuff. Even he probably doesn't even remember it, but that's just the kind of guy he is. And then his assistant, Mayor Chiquilo, who became a head coach in the OHL. Both of them coached guys like Alex Pietrangelo, and you get to see like they gave back. Like they didn't have to do that, but they always talked to me. They always gave me drills. They always gave me feedback when I was having a hard time with either players or parents. And then beyond that, Hockey Canada gave me a really good mentor when I did my high performance one. And the other coach, Frenchie, which is Francesco Bazzocchi, was my Hockey Canada mentor. And he was great. And he would come to my practices. So, I think that organization has done a great job. On the flip side, in the USA, I think what USA Hockey has done is they've recognized there's not the deep tradition of coaching. And so there's not really the ability for them to have so many mentor coaches. So they've tried to come up with a system where, with reduced amount of ice, because there's not as many rinks, and reduced coaching, that anyone who is interested in the game can still give players the opportunity to enjoy the game and to get better at it. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that. They're focused on skills. I don't always agree with everything they say, because I don't think that there's enough to educate coaches on the depths of strategy, on the depths of high-end skill development. A lot of it is give everybody a puck and let them play and compete. But that's fine, because I think the most important thing is that those players enjoy the game, they develop some skill, and we're seeing the fruit of it. The U.S. development program is really good. So I think both organizations have done a phenomenal job. We've seen similar programs in Sweden, and the Swedish program has done an amazing job. So the NHL does contribute to those, where they help fund Hockey Canada, USA Hockey, and the coaches. Again, to Frenchie's point, we've both been to NHL coaching symposiums, and coaches will spend a lot of time with you. I've sat at round table with OHL and NHL coaches and WHL coaches, and I'm a scout now, was a director of coaching at the time, and they treat us all the same. They answer all our questions, and they give you really good feedback. So it's a great fraternity, really.
It's a great question, to be honest with you. It's like, it fired me up when I read this question. And thank you so much for Anthony this question. But just follow the point, Michael. We have to give credit to NHL. They changed for the last 15 years. They gave back a lot. Every time we have the NHL draft, right? What do? They have a special day for the coaches like me go there. And not only the first part of the day, they have a presentation and fun, it's fun. Coaches talk about the system, it's fun thing. But after, they make a QA with a round table where you have
breakout rooms,
coach with you with 12 people want to learn, and that's what they gave back.
It's incredible.
And then they create also the NHL Association coaches now on the website, where you can sign up and learning about all the coaches. And also at the end of the day, I've been also the youth travel coach need to do his part also. They have so many seminars now around the countries and USA and Canada to learn to get better. And that's something. So NHL improve. It's always give back, but every month you can learn from the coaches and apply everything like that. And I think that's the biggest thing. Now, the USA hockey program, I think they should, the level 1, 2, and 3, whatever they call it, it's good, but I think it could be deeper. 4 and 5 is amazing. The 5 is great.
Exactly.
But I think at the 1, 2, and 3, it's during the year, I'm talking about. Like not to do another thing. Now they can't do, with the Zoom or the explosion of the stream now, they are more Zoom online to learning a little bit more. But you have the people like Wally, oh my God, his last name in Calgary, does a lot of stuff. We have a lot of people now do a lot of Zoom for helping the coaches, but it's a great question. And I think at the end of the day, Michael, it's the guy coach now need to master his craft and to knock the door, to open the door, and to learn more about the game and sharing. That's one thing. It's the most important thing.
Big time.
Sharing what you analyze, your expertise, what you know with other people, and not be aware to be jealous. Oh, and I won't talk to him because he may be past me.
That's a great point. And I think that it was funny you say that, because I felt like when Mike Babcock signed his big contract and we were at those coaching symposiums, there was a lot of talk about Mike and his ego. And I don't think that Mike, I think he's just like a very intellectual, studious guy, and maybe he can act a little pompous at times, and he's very outspoken. So that kind of maybe contributed a little bit to the knives that came out. But man, I don't know. He spent time with like minor hockey league coaches and contributed just like any other coach there. Like Joel Quenneville was there. Like Larry Trotz was there. You look at the Roger Nielsen,
69 years old, 70 years old. I went to the NHL draft, and maybe in Chicago or Dallas, right? I'm show up the last minute because the parking was unbelievable at the hotel. Anyway, I show up there and I have to sit in the hand. On my right, I have Ken Hitchcock. On my left, I had Greg Berube, right? And we talk each other and have no, like you feel like small between both, right? But I will tell you one thing. I saw at least 6 to 10 players, NHL, come around the table, talk to Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Hi, Hitch. How you doing? Hi, Hitch. Like Steve Orr, remember him?
Yep, Steve Orr, the big fighting guy.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's a fraternity and there's a respect there. I mean, you don't get to that level without the ability to communicate with players. And I think that hockey is really important that everybody, is for the most part on the same page. And I think that's where we always, I was a director of coaching for like 4.5 years. Can't remember wrong. And, we were building a tier 1 and a tier 2 program. And I think it's important that directors of coaching in these organizations also understand that they need to be students of the game, and they need to create an environment where, number one, coaches are supported. Coaches aren't always going to do the right thing. They don't have the deep experience in the United States, but you've got to create a way where they communicate with you, and you got to help them communicate with parents because they don't always do the right thing, and it creates backlash. And, and you can't be so weak that you just give in to when people that are parents complain. You have to educate parents too, because you see it in the pros. You can't have a couple of guys doing their own thing. Look at the Washington Capitals. When you got 4 or 5 guys going out partying, it breaks the whole team apart. Well, imagine if you have 2-3 parents that are creating problems, and that reverberates to the players, and then it turns on the coach. You can't manage it. It doesn't work. The team won't be successful. So I think that directors of coaching need to do a really good job of creating an environment where they understand, listen, if you're part of this organization, here's the rules. If you're a coach, these are the expectations. And here's resources where we want you throughout the year to be better. We had regular monthly coaching meetings. I noticed that coaches would stop going to the meetings because they weren't as crazy as I was. And I was trying to teach them board skills, teach them how to draw out drills, teach them systems, teach them ways to teach skills, right? Like, and some guys would get overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely.
I would go to their practices when I could, and I would watch. If I had to, I'd run a practice with them. And I think that we need to have very hands-on directors of coaching, because otherwise there's a huge gap. And I think what we see a lot of times is the guys that are director coaching now are not supporting the coaches, and it's a tough job.
Not easy.
No.
It's. By the way, I don't know if Anthony here or other people here, but I can promise that Greg's going to be back next week, Tuesday, same time, 11 o'clock. So we're going to bring him next week. And Greg would tell me, yes, I know him. I'm sure he would tell you one thing right now. If you talk to Greg, say, hey, I enjoy it. I love it. So that's what Greg is like us. He loved talking about the game. So I was just going to mention to you guys, if you are still with us, we're going to bring back. Usually we talk about game. We talk about the NHL, and we talk about everything, but it was a great subject to be different today, talking about something. But Michael, before we leave, I just want to talk about one game, Ottawa versus Toronto last night, and then we're going to conclude. We have 5 more games tonight on the NHL, but what do you think about this? What do you feel, or what it would be the outcome, not from last night until the next couple of days? How do you feel about both teams?
Sorry, which team?
Ottawa versus Toronto last night.
I mean, listen, Ottawa's a young team. They have some talent. When you play wide open like Toronto, we're seeing that they can compete. And Ottawa is not the best defensive team. If you want to crush Ottawa, shut them down. But you can play guys like Kachuk Hart, and Dadonov is a veteran. Stepan's a veteran. Like, you look at through the lineup, they have some guys that if you play them hard, it might help. If you have their D that'll play that way, but if you're not, and you're going to play fire wagon hockey, anybody can win. They don't have zero talent. Connor Brown has an axe to grind, right? Like, he was let go by Toronto. You see the connection between those teams, and then those guys produce against their old team. So I don't know. I think you're seeing Toronto. I think Toronto has a problem, and I've said this all along.
So do you feel like because lose after you winning 5-1, lead by 4, and then losing an OT, do you feel in the long term it will be more benefit, or it would be more negative for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Toronto should clean the floor with them. If Toronto is going to take anything away from this, it's you can't just play shinny hockey.
Oh, it was terrible. I followed the game.
You're playing shinny, and you're saying my talent's so much better than yours, and that's not the way it works in the NHL. You need to play as a system, and you need to shut the other team down.
Here, I'm worried. Right? It's 5-1. We play 5 versus 3. is about 15 seconds at the end of the second period. Break away from Paul. He scored 5-2 with 9 seconds remaining to the second period at 5 versus 3. That's 5-2.
Yep.
Shelton O'Keefe, between the second period, it lead by 3. He said on press conference, I feel bad about that. So my question to you is like, how can you feel bad when you have maybe the one of the top best team in the NHL?
I don't know.
And lead by 3, and they said, and again, the worst team in the NHL, and said, I feel bad about that. That statement is going to be for a long time remind to a lot of to him during the year, because I think at that moment it's like you maybe you don't trust your team yet. I know they were happening against Montreal. You can have a bad game, but John Tavares was not great yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I can go, Anderson was not great, did not make the big save, and you have a great.
You know, the point of bringing the veteran players in, Pierre, was that they would be more mature, and they're not playing a mature style. Like, they're playing a style that's like, hey, our talent's better than yours. We're going to play transition hockey, and we're going to outscore you. But they're not the only talented team in the NHL. And a lot of teams restrain their offense because they're playing a system.
They can score, of course, but I think
that dries up, man.
They need to learn to play 60 minutes. They need to learn what it takes to win to the end.
You can't be easily satisfied.
Absolutely right with you. It was the first time, Michael, the Ottawa, they have 0-237 and 1 when they are losing by 4. It was the first time they win a game in NHL under franchise history.
I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about the other games. Maybe we do a speed round. Arizona shuts out St. Louis. Darcy Kemper?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good yesterday.
Is there a better goalie in the NHL than Darcy Kemper?
You know, he got a shootout yesterday. His first of the year, 9 with the Coyotes, and is also good. 19 in his career in hockey. Overall, they have a chance. Ryan O'Reilly have an amazing chance some point. It was a pretty tight game, honestly. And then, you know, this is 7 game between both formation. I think they are tired to play each other.
Get used to it.
Arizona from 4 of them, 3 from St. Louis. So, you know, at the end of the day, great performance of Cooper. I agree with you on that one.
Islanders beat a rusty Buffalo team. And you mentioned in the third period, how many shots did Buffalo get?
Did not score any shot the last 23 minutes and 6 seconds of the game.
Wow. So crazy. We talked about the Senators and Leafs. This one was a wild one. It looked like for a while Columbus was going to run away with it. But
talking about Buffalo, Michael, I'm sorry I just cut you. I just got this. Jeff Skinner, he has only 3 goals in the last 42 games getting back to last season.
That's not possible. He's got $9 million. He can't be. $9 million, Pierre says that's not true.
Yeah.
That was a terrible contract for me. I was really surprised that they did that. He's very streaky, and he's very small. Like, he can get overpowered easily. I thought having Eric Stahl would help, but so far, I mean, he's in never land. You know.
Taylor Hall did not score 1 goal since the first game of the season. He did not have any point the last 6 of the last 8 games.
Yeah, he can be very frustrating to watch. He'll get points, but he can be very frustrating to watch. For me, the best player has been Olofsson and then Eichel. I mean, they've been really good. Columbus versus Hurricanes. This is a wild one. It looked like Columbus was going to run away with it for a little bit, and then the Hurricanes really poured it on.
3-1, Michael. 3-1 for Columbus, and the Canes came back and responded with 6 goals.
6 unanswered goals, man.
You know what I mean?
Like, that was nuts. So an exciting, interesting game. We are seeing, and I think Craig had mentioned it, how deep that Hurricanes team is and how dangerous they are.
I agree with you. I took them in first place in that division, by the way.
And we see Stahl scores again, the other Stahl, Jordan Stahl.
But this one, I'll be honest with you, it's now you talk about play. You said to me yesterday, don't worry about him. It's
Teravainen.
Yeah, he scored yesterday. He got 3 points, 4 points, 1 goal, 3 assists. But yesterday, Nathan Redder have another great night.
I know.
Goal of the year.
And Brock McGinn gets 2.
McGinn got 7 goals of the year plus 4 points yesterday. So it's not about only Ao and Shevnikov. Shevnikov and Ao have almost
Been
1
quiet.
point per game,
Yeah.
and we don't hear their name.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. This was another crazy one. We talked about it earlier. Florida outlasts Tampa Bay. Now, we know Tampa Bay had McElhinney in net, the backup, so it might be a little different. They did have Stamkos back, but, you know, you got to give credit to the Panthers. Like, they are playing at a high level, and they're getting wins. And those are wins they have to get if they want to stay in the hunt.
They find a way to win the beat Tampa, and I think Tampa's getting frustrated. You can see the third period, they was trying to hit everybody. They can see they play under their skin right now, the Florida, and that's a plus for them. So it'll be very interesting to see other games between both the next couple of weeks.
Couple interesting things. Owen Tippett scores, so I think that's a good sign. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. We saw Volkov. You know, to me, Volkov is a player that's very capable of being a 20, 25 goal scorer in this league if he gets the ice time. So
there's another one player, Michael, who is stuck in the ladder.
Gets buried, right? And you see what happened to Carter Verhaeghe. He escapes that, gets in a bigger role, and he can play somewhere. So they're either going to move him somewhere and he'll do this, or he'll do it in Tampa because they give him the opportunity. Tyler Johnson, who was on waivers, twice? And they were trying to dump that salary, gets his 4th goal of the year. So he can still play, Pierre, whether he's in Tampa or somewhere else. He's a big contributor.
Yep.
So all good moves. The next game, this was a close one, man. So Blackhawks come out of it with a win. They were up 2-1, then Detroit tied it 2-2. One thing about it, and you've said it a few times, you know, Detroit's getting really good goaltending, and they're trying to keep the games close. The Blackhawks are better than we thought, and they pull it out. They have a little bit more. Like, they've got those star players that Detroit doesn't have, and that usually seems to be the difference. But Detroit's competing, so it's good news.
Michael, I'll be honest with you. I watched so many games yesterday. I have a 4 scoring and everything like that. But I have to give you one thing. Detroit yesterday deserved the W. Like, they overshot the third period. They cannot put the puck in the net. But I think the show was 13-4, and Chicago, you know, in OT still the game. But honestly, Detroit last night, I watched the game. They should win that game. They missed one time. Subban was like 2 feet outside the net, and I think it was Barbie Ryan shoot the puck beside the net on the right side. So, but again, if you look, they are working hard. Mata was working hard. They could not put the puck in the net yesterday.
No, they don't have enough firepower yet, Pierre. They need Zadina to emerge. They need to get someone in the draft, like a Raymond needs to come up, and I'm not sure he's the guy. But they're definitely a little short on talent. When your best player is Larkin, I think he's still a 55, 60-point player. That's not enough.
No, I understand. But I think, you know, like you said to you yesterday, they tried enough to win that game. Unfortunately, they got only 1 point. But another great performance, whatever they are now, 4-11-2.
What is going on with McDavid, Pierre?
With who?
Well, we see again, like, Connor McDavid doesn't score. Good news yesterday was you did see Kyle Yamamoto, who we've been talking about, get his 5th goal of the year. So he broke out a little bit. McDavid gets his 21st assist of the season, but he hasn't scored in a little while.
Okay, yes. At the beginning of the year, Michael, what I said, what the biggest problem with others?
Aside from goaltending?
That happened last night. They removed Smith after the 4th goal. And that's the reason they lost yesterday. They score enough goal to win 90% of the game. And the reason they won their 6 of the 7 because they can hang in there with 3-0, 3-1, and 4-2, and they cannot give a lot of goal. Yesterday, have a bad performance, a goaltender. What happening? They lost 6-5. I think the shot was 45-19 for
45-24.
Yeah, for Edmonton. So they are all over the place. They should win this game easily. It's just a bad game for them. But again, my problem now, they are 9-8. They are not like 9-3 or 9-4. It's just a bad game for them. Maybe the worst for the last 8 games. We'll see how they go into respond.
I don't see their goaltenders stealing any games. Smith came back on the emotional high of being out and gets a couple shutouts, but that's going to wear off. He's going to average back to his .899 save percentage. He's going to throw the puck away when he tries to play it. They need to get someone better.
And then finally, I want to mention to you, it was also like the last 4 games, Tresol and McDavid don't score.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, McDavid hasn't scored, so
they not produce a lot the last couple of games. So they will need them
They need them big time.
Firstly, good for them. The other players score for them. That's helping. Yamato finally scored yesterday. And Nogan Ogans have 2 goals, I believe, yesterday. And so
Nugent
overall,
Hopkins,
over there. Better performance. The Canucks yesterday. They should win that game also. Flame find a way to come back and tie the game. Vancouver tied the game, and at the end of the game, I believe, 3-3, and then they won an OT.
Well, they were up 2-0.
Yeah.
And Milan Lucic gets his 4th goal of the year, Pierre. I didn't think he'd score 4 goals in his career the rest of the way. But then Lindholm and Dubé score, so they go ahead 3-2. Brock Besser is the 2nd leading goal scorer in the NHL. Gets his 11th goal to tie it up.
Horvat at 7, scored his 7 yesterday.
Horvat's so good.
At the beginning of the game, I've been honest with you, Vancouver was all over. Then
they looked like they were going to win.
We scored 3 goals, I believe, at the end of the first 2 or 3 on the second period. And I think at the third period, they are hanging there. But finally, Vancouver came back. They got 1 point on that one over there. But the Flames find a way. But it's a good thing.
Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah. That's it.
It's hard to teach talent. He's really good. I mean, he's having a great year. So I'm excited to see that. In the end, Vancouver needs Elias Peterson to be a superstar, not just a good player. Because otherwise, we're seeing when he's just a good player, they're not good enough.
Well, they're missing a couple of pieces, and then Virtanen is not the way he is right now.
Tyler Toffoli, Virtanen,
not great over there. It's going to be a long season for them. They already play 18 games right now, 19 games.
In trouble.
33% of the game right now, and to be under 4
by a lot,
it will be hard for them. They have to play 650, so it's impossible for them. And they have to think for next year.
Yeah, I think unfortunate. Who would have saw that? I thought they were going to be real good, but man, they're not hitting on all cylinders. This was another close one, kind of not great teams, but Sam Steele scores. So Sam Steele comes back, gets his 1st goal of the year. I thought he would have a little bit more than this by this point, but he was playing on a line with Danton Heinen and Jacob Silverberg, so that's good news. Kevin Labanc only getting his 2nd goal for San Jose, Pierre. So he's, I know he's more of a pass first guy, but they need more offense from Kevin Labanc. Who scores for Anaheim? The final goal of the season or the game to make it 3-2? Maxime Comtois having a great year. 7th goal of the season. So I'm really excited to see him pop through. He's a big power forward with nice soft hands.
The good news about the Sharks yesterday, they gave only 2 goals.
Right.
3.86 for Jones. I know Top Nick is hurt. Carlson did not play. But again, it's another thing with roller coaster. Now they give 3-2. Check the next game against the Ducks. They can lose 4-1. That's how this year. I did not watch the game. Honestly, it was too late. They started at 10:30. I was watching Vancouver and Calgary, and then I gave up. I have to do all the post game, and I just gave it that one. But again, I think there's other one team. They are on my Club 5 worst team this week. I know they won yesterday, but at the end of the day, they don't play at the level they should be. At the end of the day, I think they will be better. My expectation may be too high for them. And when you have Hurdle, Kutcher, Carlson, Burns, you have 2 good contenders who should be better. And, the Labac you talk about, and they have a couple of young players around that team over there. I think San Jose and Vlasic, terrible this year.
He's bad. It's not just this year, Pierre. Like, he was bad last year.
Last 3 years is difficult. Say he got his contract, it looked like he's
packed it in or something.
And, so at the end of the day, it's, so tonight we have 6 games. Unfortunately, we just announced today Dallas not going to play, so we have only 5 games. Pittsburgh is back. Washington is back on the ice tonight. The Rangers are back without Panarin, confirmed, and also Kadri Miller is out for the game tonight. Welcome back. Wood is back with New Jersey. Philadelphia just announced they're going to play Thursday, but all the players on the COVID-19 not going to be played Thursday night. So like Giroux, Konechny, they're not going to be on the lineup Thursday night. So that's another team struggle a bit. Minnesota are back tonight. That will be fun to watch them tonight. So I can't wait to see this team. So that's what's going on around the league. I don't know if you want to Have anything else?
No, I'm excited about our guest today. That was fun to have Craig. We'll have to make an effort to have Craig back, and some other, NHL and maybe major junior guys can join us as well. It's
I
fun
think
to
it's
get.
fun. And I'm talking about Jordan Stahl, Mike. He has 8 goals, 8 points the last 5 games.
Wow.
And I just want to mention to everybody, if you have any question or people would like us to talk, connect, whatever it is, this program is not about us. It's for you guys. We just want to sharing. We passed the 1 hour, but honestly, we are here Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock. And you can sign up on our YouTube channel and also the Facebook page, where I'm really active on the Facebook page to bring you all the update all day long. I'm telling you right now, I do about 40 posts. I'm doing 2-3 videos per day. Today is a Club 5 video. And at the end of the day, it's all about your communication. You can join and talking about. That's what we can exchange each other. We are also on the club now, on the club house now, usually 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We're showing up there. We have a couple of people all around the world talking about hockey, and not only hockey, but business hockey and everything like that. It's fun to meet those people. So we invite everybody, and I think we're growing, Michael. We need to be patient, but without you guys, this cannot be possible. So hopefully you can join, participate more, and come. We invite you to come live with us. Anthony, you're welcome to join us. We open the door to anybody here. We're not an expert. We're just here because we love the game.
Yeah, we love your participation. It's really important. If anybody needs a Clubhouse invite, both Pierre and I have invites available.
I have a lot now. I have 8.
You have 8. I think I have 3 more, and I have other people that can give them out. So Clubhouse, if you don't know, is an audio-only opportunity to have a room. We invite people up to the stage to talk about different topics. There's no video, but it's growing really rapidly, and we want to make sure that we're a big part of the hockey discussions on the platform. So join us there.
Thank you so much, everybody. We apologize again for real question. A couple of people like Carrie and Mike, and we skipped this because my Greg left at the end.
No, we put it up. We got them up. Oh, they're all answered.
For sure. So, thanks again for joining us, and I look forward to see you tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern time. And Mike, enjoy your cold weather in Texas, and hopefully you're not going to be too much freezing.
I don't know. We picked a terrible time to come here.
Definitely, and I know that. So, anything else before we said hi?
No, if anybody needs a Clubhouse invite, yeah, Carrie says yes. My question was answered. Cool. If you're not on Clubhouse, you can find us at. I'm at Founders Pack, and then Pierre is at Coach Frenchie. Is that your ID?
Yeah, you can find me at Coach Frenchie or Pierre, to be honest with you. You can find me on the DM here. Just join me at Facebook, a DM, and I will tell you, I will invite you directly for Clubhouse. It's another great location. You can talk about hockey, and it'll be great to see you guys over there.
And you can text us. If you text Hockey Nation along with your phone number, and if you have a username on Clubhouse, to 512-648-5791, and we'll add you back. So we'll invite you into Clubhouse.
The only thing we have to be sure, everybody, you be part of the Clubhouse right now. You have to be sure you have an iPhone. You have an Android.
Good point.
So it's a point very important. You need an iPhone, and not only hockey. You have so many other rooms you can learn about live, everything like that. So we appreciate.
Good point about the iPhone. And if you don't have an iPhone, you have an iPad, it'll still work. You just can't use it on Android yet.
Awesome, Michael. Thanks again.
Pierre.
Join us. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to see you tomorrow. Have an amazing, great, happy Tuesday, everybody. Peace.